Here we'll continue with feminism or feminist discourses and critical discourse analysis, and we'll figure out other options or other topics through which we can analyze discourses in the domain of or with the help of critical discourse studies. One of the possibilities are the discourses about violence against women. There has already been many studies who have investigated institutional sexism or discourses of violence against women, where certain institutional support is provided to men as compared to women to generate or to uh, run away with some kind of coercive things or violent things. Using naming and transitivity analysis, Clark in 1992 analyzed some news reporting of violence against women, some sexual or physical violence acts being reported in a mainstream tabloid in Great Britain. And there were some interesting findings because these news reports included attacks from strangers as well as from intimate partners like boyfriends or husbands. Her finding revealed that a pattern of blame reassignment in which responsibility of an attack is got shifted from culprit to the one who has suffered from it, or in other words, the victim. And while at the same time excuses were found for the perpetrators, and which obviously, as a result, lessen their culpability and result in lessening their punishments also. Victims in the reports were categorized as genuine and non-genuine victims, which is, according to the researcher, is an attempt to reassign the blame on them instead of on culprits. For example, genuine culprits were found those who were unavailable women like wives, mothers and girls who are not married or are not in a kind of relationship. Whereas non-genuine victims were those which were implicitly were found to be the available women like mothers without marriage, divorcees or blondes. They were thought to be, and any attack on them were thought to be less severe as compared to the attack on genuine victims. The distinction, as Clark noted, reflected a patriarchal viewpoint where certain women were thought to be available and attack on them were thought to be less severe. Because possible in such distinction, we see women from a perspective of possible sexual or physical encounters with men as compared to their individual selves or their autonomous individual selves. Corresponding to the distinction of blame worthiness in relation to victims, there was also an attempt to represent the perpetrators of such crimes as subhuman or as fiends and human beings, or in human terms. Fiends are those men who were involved in crimes against those who were not available women, for example, involved in attacking stranger women, respectable women, while non-humans and fiends were those who either attacked, non-fiends were those who attacked their spouses or their friends or those women who were deemed available to them for some kind of interaction. So fiends or some kind of criminals, evil people were those who attacked stranger women, but those who attacked the known ones or their counterparts or their wives, they were considered to be non-fiends. Therefore, their crime was given some kind of excuse or human terms. Clark also observed that every permutation, every change in arrangement of blame entailed some kind of patriarchal viewpoint, and that accorded some kind of freedom to British men, some kind of superiority to British men. Husbands who attacked their wives were humanized, and depicted sympathetically as victims of circumstances. And this doesn't end here. Even those who were considered to be fiends or evil people in reporting, uh, when it turned out to be detailed, their crime was also minimized, as they were shown something who were acting in such a fashion because of their past traumas, their previous experiences, and they were shown somehow some kind of indirect sympathy was arose for them. In another study, Alich reported an androcentric assumptions, similar androcentric assumptions in another case reporting uh, in a Canadian university, in which a male and two females were against each other, and and there was some kind of sexual assault adjudication process undergoing. And the study shows that some assumptions insidiously work to legitimize male violence and reproduce gender inequalities. For example, in question answer session, uh, the complainants, which were two females down there, their credibility came under critical question, and they were blamed for not resisting forcefully. This is all because they were asked such questions, why they not resisted that forcefully, and their resistance was not good enough to stop the approach of a man, which a kind of blame shifting also. Probable consent got inferred from what was institutionally deemed as inadequate resistance. This is how the discourse changed. Uh, then the researcher noted that the adjudication process failed to acknowledge the gendered power dynamics working in a society, which actually inhibited those women to show enough resistance or the desired resistance, and it was rather interpreted as some kind of uh, understood or inferred consent. This is where we could bring in critical discourse analysis more effectively, because producing such discourses as litter resistance or showing some kind of reassignment of blames to the culprit uh, can happen and can damage society uh, in terms of its gender relations. So critical discourse studies can focus on such things which may occur in public discourses of various kinds, including those surface in mainstream media. And by analyzing such discourses, we can bring forward some kind of important social messages which would result into uh, some meaningful social change.